Today I'm going to talk about why I don't care about NVIDIA, and I don't think you should care about NVIDIA either, and how I think focusing on these large cap tech stocks that have been doing nothing for ages is a disservice for your trading and your investing and all that, and kind of prove that to you today. So right here off the bat, I made the mistake that I always do when I went on Twitter yesterday. And this was just, everybody was just talking here about NVIDIA and the fact that it gapped up and then kind of sold off. And right, we're seeing that here, in which NVIDIA did that gap up and sell off. And yes, this is an ugly candle. But the reason I zoomed this chart out the way I did is because this is October of last year. We've done absolutely nothing in that period of time. We've just moved completely sideways. Meanwhile, we've been seeing some great strength under the hood, which I'm going to show you guys here. And I think this is part of the problem, is people are very programmed for years and years and years to say, okay, the NASDAQ is the market. And, we've moved sideways forever, and this market hasn't done anything in months. Or the S&P 500 is the market, and this thing's moved sideways since, again, October, November last year, and hasn't done anything. However, that's not the market. That is the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ. And the reason I think people have been kind of programmed for this for some time is just because those have been the best performing areas of the market out there. You were way better off than most trading strategies just dumping your money into the Qs or the S&P 500. That was great. And it could continue to be that way. I don't have a crystal ball to tell you the future. But if you look at these charts, especially focusing here on the Qs, right, it does look like this is a sloppy, messy, awful environment. However, if you go to this chart, this is the QQQJ. So the Qs, the QQQ, is the top 100 tech stocks in the S&P 500. The QQQJ is just the next 100 stocks. So you didn't make the top list, you're the B team. This chart looks way better, doesn't it, right? October is way down here. So we are up from October, and we are making this really tight pennant, and it looks like we're potentially going to go breakout. And then note yesterday's candle broke higher yesterday. So I had a higher move on the QQQJ, even with NASDAQ going down. So the other 100 stocks didn't care about NVIDIA. Now, if you are focused and you're saying the QQQ, or the SPY, that's the market, this is kind of showing you that you're focused on the wrong place. And you know what else is? The IWM. Let's go back to that October area right here. So the IWM up from October, very close to an all-time closing highs for IWM, right? Still a choppy, 2026 so far, but doing way, way better. Then this chart is the RSP. This is what no one was talking about yesterday, is that the average large cap stock broke a new all-time high yesterday. So if you're scrolling Twitter, or you're watching the news, or you're doing whatever, you're hearing how bad NVIDIA was and how awful all of that was. And no one's saying the average large cap stock broke to new highs, and there was more stocks up yesterday than there were down. Now, why is this happening? Well, it's because these used to be the most important stocks. And I think the market is telling us now that they're not the most important stocks out there right now. The market is looking at other places and is able to move higher regardless of NVIDIA, which is a huge component to it. But what does this mean for you as an investor? Well, it might be time to just change your benchmark. Instead of looking at the S&P 500 as the market or the Qs as the market, you need to understand that both of those are big cap tech weighted. The S&P 500 is like 30% plus large cap tech. And if large cap tech is kind of hit a pinnacle in which the market's priced in everything they're going to do, and it's going to move sideways for a period of time, it could be that the rest of the market ends up being where people put their money. And that's what makes it move higher, is that large investors move their money from the thing that's not moving into the thing that's moving. So if you're looking at the market, if before you watch this video, you thought, oh man, the market's bearish, and now you're looking at it and saying, wait, most stocks are hitting new all-time highs. That's the time to kind of change your process and say, am I just looking at the things that the media are talking about? Am I looking at the things that are being talked about on Twitter? Or do I have a plan and a system to find other things? Us at StatsEdgeTrading, we have a plan and a system to find other things. Everything we do is systematic. I don't care what any of these stocks are or what any of these stocks do. Our systems are designed to find stocks that are moving right now. That's how I do it. And if you're a discretionary trader, it just might be time to take a step back and say, okay, well, instead of trading the biggest stocks out there because they're the biggest stocks out there, let me take a look under the hood. Let me just run a simple scan and say, hey, what are these stocks hitting new all-time high? And start fishing in those waters. I hope this helps. Until I talk to you guys next time, get away from the screens.